What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tony Gomez Show. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Mark Rizzo, guitarist extraordinaire, and also guitarist for El Nino, Revenge Beast, and Bleed the Fifth. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me on the show, man. Big fan.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. It's something I've been looking forward to. Really excited. Thanks for breaking away on a busy Sunday. I know you got a lot on your plate, man. You're a real grinder, dude. You're always staying busy doing something.
Well, it's Sunday, so today, being Italian, it's pasta, braciole, and sausage day. So I had a lot on my plate today.
I love it, man. I hadn't had a chance to get a good meal. I just had a hungry man about an hour ago, dude. Just a little TV dinner, and hopefully I'm getting ready for a good dinner after we wrap things up today.
Right on, man.
Mark, I think the first time I saw you perform, and correct me if I'm wrong, but were you out here back in 2004 with El Nino at Concrete Street?
No, I think that's when I had left El Nino. So that was probably the other guys after I left. I think the last time I played in Texas with El Nino was probably like 2002, maybe even Ozfest, 02.
Wow, Ozfest. Man, that's killer. Oh, yeah. Man. Those are always some of my best concerts to go to year round.
Sure.
Man. And, that night, El Nino fucking put on a badass show. My band Kill 'Em More at the time got a chance to open up. So, yeah, that set the groundwork. What they were doing that night was everything you already set up with and did all the writing for. And then you ended up jumping from right there. And so you went to Soulfly after that.
Yep.
And before I jump ahead too fast, I also want to give credit, man. You got 5 solo albums that fucking kick ass.
Thank you.
They're fucking shredders.
Thank you.
I love the way you have a wide range of different styles into your mix. You got metal, you got jazz, there's flamenco, and you got classical all fucking wrapped in there. And it's not in every track, but throughout the whole album, you get a little flavor of everything in there. And man, it's just dynamically fucking beautiful to listen to.
Well, thank you. I love guitar music. It's always been my favorite style of music, no matter if it's punk, hardcore, thrash, death metal. I love anything that's played on the guitar, and that's like a virtuoso style of playing. And that can be punk too, man. I mean, I love the Ramones too. I love the Sex Pistols. So anyone who's just playing guitar and putting passion behind it, that's what I like, is people that are passionate about playing their instruments.
Man, I'm telling you, you're one of the most passionate guys I've seen. The energy and your sheer presence on stage and your aerial abilities, man. I love the way you're jumping in the air and getting kicks, and I love to jump on stage too. But man, that's just some massive air up there, dude. That's badass.
Well, thanks. I mean, my other passion is fitness and all types of different, styles of training, for fitness. So to me, I've always enjoyed bringing that to the live show too, is putting on a high energy concert by jumping around and doing my thing. Basically what I would do in the mosh pit, growing up around my area, New Jersey, New York, that's the way we would slam dance. So, for me, it was natural to just do it on stage, and other bands were doing it too. I wasn't like the first person to be throwing spin kicks. There was other bands that I was fans of around New Jersey that were wilding out on stage too.
Yeah, it's inspirational. When you see somebody going off and just hitting the right fucking timing on that, and everything's fucking just blasted. I know how you want to kind of bring that into the mix, dude. You feel that same kind of passion that you see someone else project out there, and like,
that's the way I grew up going to shows. Around here was the shows were energetic. The crowd was insane, slam dancing. The people on stage, the bands were giving 100%. It was all about putting on a show and giving people their money's worth. I'm all about that. I think if someone bought a ticket to the show, man, you got to put on the show. You got to be prepared to get up there and play your instrument to the best of your ability. Practice, be prepared for the show, and also physically, put on an entertaining show.
Dude, I'm telling you, absolutely. And that's why I know whenever I go see you guys, doing the streaming so far, and catching you guys over here, seeing you just go off on stage, dude. El Nino is a very fucking passionate band that fucking makes it very well live, man, between you and Marcus and Sal and the guys.
Oh yeah, everybody goes nuts. I mean, that was something we were always, even back in the day, in the early years of El Nino, we were all very much aware of that. Like, yo, we have to put on a show. You know, we're going up there, doing tours with, you know, bigger bands that have a crazy show, and we have to give 100%. So we were always very aware of it. And when we would rehearse, we were probably one of the few bands that in rehearsal we would jump around and get our cardio up and be ready to rock out. Like whatever I did on stage at those old rehearsals back in the day, I did the same thing, just so I was always ready to put on a great show.
Man, dude, now that's a real rehearsal right there. Like
Yeah.
stage like that. Now, in our rehearsal rooms, we ain't gonna have the fucking room to do that kind of shit.
We didn't either, man. I definitely kicked a couple of guys once in a while, and you know, we made the best of whatever space we had, you know, at whatever rehearsal place.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it. Well, you know, you started out, you know, got a good maybe 4 some odd years with El Nino there at the beginning. Did a good run with Soulfly, and now you were coming back around. It's time for El Nino again, and you even had some time to, you know, between all that, do your own solo albums. You
Sure.
had projects going on, of course, and right now on your plate you've got Revenge Beast, and you've also got Bleed the Fifth. And man, it's you keep yourself freaking tremendously busy, and you know, that's really exciting, man. I'm glad to see that you've got that tremendous drive, and you haven't let up one bit ever since I've seen any kind of post that you've created. It's always, man, there's always hustle, man, always hustle, and I got so much respect for all that drive.
Well, thank you, dude. I mean, I love metal. You know, I'm a metalhead. I love metal. I love playing guitar. Guitar is everything for me. I practice all day long. You know, I'm for me, it's not even work. You know what I'm saying? So the more projects, the better. You know, the Revenge Beast project was something I started during the pandemic with my buddies that are in that band, and yo, I think it's gonna be one of the best metal records to come out this year. It's just like straight up old school groove death metal.
Yeah.
And then the Bleed the Fifth project, you know, Tommy Vex is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years, and you know, he hit me up, asked me if I wanted to be part of this Bleed the Fifth project, and I was a huge fan of Divine Heresy. A lot of people know I did a lot of guitar solos on that record, and so it made sense for Tommy to hit me up and for us to do it. And I'm super stoked for that project. You know, with Tommy, with Bill Hudson, who's an awesome shredder, who I'm excited to work with, and Tim Young and Adam Deuce and Logan Mater. So. Yeah, we're excited, man. You know, I just want to stay busy. And then, of course, El Nino, you know, we got our new record coming out soon. We got this tour coming, and it's been amazing working with this new version of El Nino, man. It's just like a new and improved version. And that's why I rejoined, man, because I'm like, yo, I want to be part of this new version.
Man, I don't blame you one bit. I see the way you know, Dave has brought in Marcus, and it really just Marcus is such a great fucking front man.
Yep.
And such an excellent.
That's what really made me want to come back. You know, when I heard that Marcos was going to be part of it, I was a huge fan of you know, his past band Shattered Sun, right? And I toured with them back in the day. I've known Marcos for a long time, and so when I heard that he got the gig now to sing for El Nino, I'm like, yo, sign me up, man, because I'm just a huge fan of him as a person, and also his vocal ability, you know. And all the other guys are awesome too. Sal, Miggy, you know, Danny's back in the band, Laz and Dave. So it's a whole new era of El Nino. It really it's a completely different vibe, and even musically, I think it's more metal. You know, it's not as like new metal as it was back in the day. I think the vocals, Marcos' style of singing is just way more, just tougher and more metal. So that's what I'm in.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's a new resurgence. You guys are just, you know, are your prime, man. You know, you guys sounded badass back then, but it sounds like right now you're hitting your prime. So, you know,
again, it's a new era of the band, man. So, you know, I don't think I would have came back if it wasn't this new and improved sound. And I loved, honestly, the newer songs that I wasn't even really part of writing with. I like it better than the old stuff, man. Like, I'm crazy about the songs that they were writing before I came back, you know?
Yeah.
Great riffing and great vocals. To me, it's just more metal. So sign me up.
Is the new album going to be called Immortals?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So most of that material was already put together before you came back?
A lot of it was, and then I just, you know, the guys wanted me to add solos, and I added a couple more technical riffs, some acoustic stuff. But most of it was written, and I was crazy about it. You know, when I first heard the stuff they were doing, the new sound with Marcos, I was like, yo, man, this is awesome, man. I want to be part of this.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yeah. So good to have you back in the band, man. It's awesome. Fuck yeah. I love all the live videos that you guys have been able to put out from all the big festivals that you've been a part of, you know, within the past, you know, 6 months or so.
We've been very lucky and fortunate that we were asked to play all these big festivals all over Europe. You know, there's been so much excitement about the new version of El Nino and my return coming back. So it's been awesome, man. You know, because it was a rough year during pandemic. You know, when I split from Soulfly, I know a lot of people were bummed out. But the minute it was announced that I was coming back to El Nino, like people didn't even care anymore, man. They were just so excited for this new version of El Nino, as was I. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Once they knew, it's like, okay, you're back in El Nino. All right, badass.
Yeah.
We're set. We know Mark's fucking found a home. He's going to be fucking kicking ass with these guys again, his brothers.
It was perfect timing, you know, because again, it was just a whole new vibe for the band. We did this live feed during the pandemic, which was a genius idea.
Yes.
Dave and Laz came up with, where let's get all the original members basically back and do this live feed, which was something I was dying to do, because during the pandemic, I really, other than Revenge Beast, you know, and my solo stuff, I wasn't really doing much. You know, I was working a day job, and so when they called me up to do the reunion on the live feed, man, it was a really amazing vibe. It was a great feeling to play those old songs again, and it just made sense, you know. And then like maybe a couple weeks later, they asked me to be part of this new version of the band.
Yeah, man. Also, I caught that stream, man. That was awesome, man. I got the little backstage before the stream started and all that. It was super cool, man, because, you know, with COVID going on, there was no way for us to go to any shows. So it was fucking badass that you're one of the few bands that got out there and put a show on for us that needed that, you know.
It was really important. I mean, it was the whole lockdown thing, especially up here on the East Coast, was just ridiculous in my opinion. And it just felt good to reconnect with everyone and get in a room and jam. You know, I mean, it just was great, and I super appreciate that they came up with that idea to do it. You know, because I was watching other bands like Sepultura was doing these live feeds, and it was incredible to see people rocking out and getting together during that time.
Making the best of the situation. What else can we do? We gotta, you know, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I'm glad that, you know, everybody figured out a way to finally get it going, and we got our metal fixed one way or another. And you know, so how does it feel now to be able to celebrate 20 years of fucking Confession and being able to have this tour coming up? We're going to be doing the entire album.
It's pretty cool, because I know a lot of people really love that record, and I had left right when that record, I had recorded the guitars on the record, me and Jardel, and I never got to play those songs live, you know. So for me, it's pretty cool. You know, I don't think I really saw how important that record was to people, you know, and I'm starting to really see it now 20 years later, that people really did love that Confessions record. And I was a big part of the writing process and the recording of the guitars on that record. So it's cool now 20 years later, you know, with this new version of the band, to get out there and play these songs that I was part of, man. So I'm excited to get out there and rock out to all the fans, man. It's gonna be awesome.
I think everyone's gonna be freaking go crazy for that whole fucking album, man. It's got a great feel. It was one of the best albums of the year when that hit. And
I didn't get to really, you know, celebrate that, you know, because I had left at the time. So it's cool now for it to hit the 20-year anniversary, and now to get out there and perform these songs live that I was part of writing with, you know, and guitarists. So I'm excited.
That's going to be awesome. Well, let me ask you, who influenced you to start playing guitar, Mark?
Man, so many people, but off the top of my head, like Joe Satriani, Yngwie Malmsteen, Al Di Meola, Dimebag, Zach, and Paul Gilbert. I could go on and on. All the legends, you know, Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch. You know, I started playing in 1986. So basically all the thrash metal and the hair metal bands, you know, those guitar players all meant the world to me, man. And then there was a lot of hardcore bands that I was into, like Agnostic Front and Sick of It All. And, you know, so I was exposed to all different types of music. Where I live right outside New York City, man, there was always something going on, whether it was a punk hardcore show, a metal show, or a jazz show, or even just cover bands. There was always live music going on.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. I love all the hardcore names that you're calling out, man, because I have a big hardcore background myself. I love all that New York style, Sick of It All, Killing Time. Leeway is one of my favorites from back then.
Yeah, me too. And, well, a lot of people, you know, El Nino, we came from that scene. You know, original singer was Jorge from Marauder, and you know,
that's right.
We played all the New York hardcore shows around New York. You know, CB's and Wetlands and Coney Island High, and we did the whole circuit, like in the late '90s, playing like with other hardcore bands, and we were all fans of that, you know. And late as time went on, the sound of the band kind of changed a little bit, but I don't think we ever lost our roots. You know, I still love the whole hardcore scene and all those bands in it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That attitude and the ferocity that you guys bring has that hardcore fucking taste to it and that feel to it, man. So
Our
you know,
live show was based on that. Again, all the jumping around on stage, that all stemmed from, you know, playing hardcore shows, going to hardcore shows,
yeah,
the mosh pit. You know, that's what it stems from.
right. Fuck yeah. Well, what was it, or was there somebody that particularly got you into metal?
Yeah, probably my older brother. He was about 7 years older than me. So like when I was a young kid,
Yeah,
him and my cousin, they were older than me, and they just would turn me on to Slayer and Metallica, you know, all the classic thrash, and then the underground hardcore bands, and you know, we were listening to cassettes and records, and we would trade, you know, and then from that, I got into playing guitar like in 1986. Specifically, it was the movie Back to the Future when Michael J. Fox does
yeah.
the shred solo at the end of the movie. I was like, that's what I want to do when I was like 8 years old. So from that day on, man, that's all I ever did, man, and I still play guitar every day like I was a
Yeah.
kid.
Man, that's super cool. I caught Back to the Future just the other day, and I was just, you know, I caught that last part where he's doing the Johnny B. Good solo,
Yeah.
and
Well,
man,
you know,
I thought
it
to
was
myself,
crazy. It was crazy. Like when I was a kid growing up in the '80s, you know, around my area, everybody played guitar. Man, that was like the thing. Was everybody wanted to be Eddie Van Halen? I mean, I think all my friends at least attempted to play guitar and took a
yeah,
couple lessons. Like that was just the in thing to do was to play guitar, man. And for me, you know, it stuck forever.
fuck, man, I'm thankful for it, man. That's badass. So, what was your first concert or first show that you went to?
I saw a lot of like early shows that weren't metal, but probably my first like metal show go to a club I'll
Yeah,
never forget was 1993. I saw Crowbar and Sacred Reich um,
yeah,
at a famous old club by us called Studio One in Newark, New Jersey, and that was my first metal show. I was like 16, and first time I got in a mosh pit, and it was just
yeah.
I just got addicted to it. And then every weekend I went to Studio One, and you know, it just became like my home base, man. And then around the corner from Studio One in Newark, New Jersey, was a punk hardcore club called the Pipeline, and I would be every Thursday night. They had like punk shows, and then on the weekends all the metal shows would be over at a Studio One. So that was my stomping grounds as a kid.
Absolutely, man. I like the flair of, you know, on Thursday night you got punk night, metal nights, or on the weekends.
Yep.
Fuck, dude, that's badass.
There was
And,
always shows going on back in like in the '90s when I was a teenager, man. There was always shows going on, man. I saw so many great metal, hardcore shows, and then even just like great jazz shows, instrumental guitar shows. There was always something going on back in those days, man. It was
man,
incredible.
that's awesome. Over here in Corpus, we don't have the luxury. You know, San Antonio, Houston definitely has it going off in
Yeah,
Austin, obviously.
sure.
But Corpus, hey, we got to make the best of any opportunity we get to get some live music down here, what of any genre.
Yeah,
And but when we get good people, shit, we pack the house. We pack
absolutely. It's
got a
always
lot.
good down there.
And so thinking about that real quick before we move past that show, was Sacred Reich doing the American Way by chance?
No, I think it was the record with the song "Independent." Was that
Ooh,
American
it was already on the independent tour. Okay.
Tours? It was right when Independent came out because I remember it was on Headbangers Ball, and I loved that video when it dropped. And Crowbar, I don't remember what record they were on, but it was like 93, 1993.
Love Kirk, man. Love Kirk and Crowbar and
Like,
what he does in and
yep.
fuck, fucking grinders right there, man. So awesome. So, what was the first band that you started with?
So I mean, the first real band where we went out and did gigs around New Jersey at clubs and stuff was a band called Crankcase. And it's funny, we were kind of like a metalcore band, you know, we were like a hardcore band, but we had a lot of like shred solos and technical riffs and thrashy and kind of on the death metal side. So it was a total, crossover. We called it deathcore at the time, you know. But we played all around Jersey, New York City. We opened up for some other bands, you know. We opened up for Propane. Actually, when Dave Shivari was in Propane, we opened up for them at the old Stone Pony. You know, we opened up for Napalm Death. I think my first show ever was opening up for Fear Factory, actually, at Studio One. So that was one of my first bands. And then I had a death metal band after that called Thanatopsis. And then through that band is how like I met Christian, the old singer from El Nino. And then a couple years later, you know, I joined El Nino, and that El Nino was like my first band to get a record deal.
Wow. Okay. So that was the evolution right there from one band to the next. Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, I dig that, man. That's badass.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Well, shit. I was wondering, how things got formed with El Nino. Was it Christian that was the catalyst that kind of pulled everybody together for it?
Well, Dave was older than us, and he was playing in bands that we all looked up to, like MOD
Yeah.
and Propane and Laz Rocket and who else? I mean, he
Gothic
played
Slam.
Gothic Slam. Gothic Slam was like really big. They were from Jersey, so we all knew who Dave was in those bands.
Yeah.
Me and Chris we were friends going back to like '93, '94. So he was a little bit older than me, and I guess he was introduced to Dave through a mutual friend. And then when he started playing, El Nino had started up because George from Marauder and Dave had toured together with Marauder and Propane. So
Ooh,
they
okay.
started a band up and called it El Nino. And then Chris started playing bass in that band. And when they were looking for a guitar player, Chris thought of me. So then I wound up coming down to auditioning, getting the gig, and that was the early beginnings of we were actually called El Nino at that time, and it was definitely more hardcore. We were like a metalcore hardcore band with a Latin vibe.
Damn, badass. Okay. Well, what was it that made you break away from El Nino?
Back in '02,
Yeah.
it was just time, man. I just wasn't happy about what was going on at that time.
Okay.
It was time. I split, at that time. And then literally the next day I got the Soulfly gig, and originally I just wanted to just do my solo project. I was really, especially back in 2002, I was really, really into studying flamenco guitar. I was never really into the whole new metal thing, and it definitely
Okay.
was getting a little too new metal for me. But I was putting all my time and energy into practicing flamenco. So originally I had split just to pursue studying flamenco and putting out instrumental acoustic guitar music. That was my original plan. Was I just want to put out like acoustic instrumental records. I just was really into that. And then I got a call from Roadrunner asking me if I wanted to join Soulfly. And I was like, at the time, I was like, hell yeah, So literally like 2-3 months later, I went out and made the Prophecy Soulfly record. And the thing, because I was so into flamenco, I brought that vibe to El Nino back in the day, and then I brought it into the flamenco influences, because that's really what I was into at the time and what I really wanted to pursue.
Man, I dig it. That flavor is gonna come out in pretty much anything you're gonna be a part of because it's you, and so it's gonna come out one way or another. And
I think once people, whenever people would hear me in the dressing room
yeah,
playing and practicing that stuff, everybody was like, "Come on, we got to put it on the record." I mean, that's how it happened with Soulfly. Even with El Nino, it was they knew on the road I was always practicing flamenco in the back of the bus, and it was always like, "Come on, we got to put this on the record." So,
yes, that uniqueness of having that is a commodity that maybe just you and another band or two may have out of
well,
all the bands that
yeah.
exist.
At the
And
time, it was very unique, definitely. But I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy that just passed away, Ben Woods, who had a project called Flametal. And at the time, like we were really the only two guys out there that were really incorporating like I don't want to say like more nuevo flamenco for me. Ben
yeah,
was a very traditional flamenco guitar player, and he did it way better than me. And he just passed away a couple months ago. But he was a genius, man, and one of my good friends. And we did some collab videos together playing acoustic stuff, and it was unique, and he did it even better than I did. So that's why I always like to mention Ben, because he was like a real traditional flamenco guitarist who studied and could play traditional flamenco, but he also was a big fan of metal. Whereas me, I just kind of dabbled in flamenco. I was never that good enough on flamenco, but I would mix it with metal too. So at the time, it was different. Yeah.
yeah, definitely different. And rest in peace, Ben. Goodness, to,
Everyone check him out. His music's got to live on, man, because he was just a legend in my eyes.
man, badass. Best wishes. God bless him. And so it was about that same time you ended up putting out your first self-titled solo release.
Yeah, again, like in '02, I had left El Nino, and I was working on my instrumental record, trying to get it out. And then what happened was uh, Mike Varney from Shrapnel Records, who put out like all the shred stuff in the '80s, the cacophony stuff, Marty Friedman solo records, Jason Becker.
Yeah.
He got a copy of my demo, and he offered me a deal. But the only thing he said was, "I love it. I want to put out your acoustic stuff, but I'd like you to do incorporate some more of the metal." and shred metal, you know. And at the time I was like, man, I haven't played like electric solos because I never really did that in El Nino. So I had to really practice, and then I put out my first solo record, Colossal Myopia, which came out around the same time that the Soulfly Prophecy record came out. And there's a lot of similar riffs that I wrote that are on Colossal Myopia, and you can even hear the stuff that I came up with on the Prophecy record too. Acoustic stuff, solos, the rhythms, you know, it was around the same time I was making both those records.
Yeah, so that groove's kind of carrying over from one thing to the next as you're writing.
Absolutely.
So you also you have your own record label, is that right? Flamenco Records.
I called it Flamenco because that was when I put out my first CD that Mike Varney got his hands on. That I put it out myself, and the label that I created was called Flamenco. You know, it was just like a spin word, flamenco. Yeah, I don't really do much of that anymore. It was something to put out my own music, and then I would put out my friends' music. I'd put it on like a compilation disc, and when I was on the road, I would put it out for free on the merch table. So it was something I did for a little bit for fun.
Very cool. That's very cool. Well, hey, you guys got to do it yourself. So you make your own label and put it out there. That's badass.
Yeah.
You make it work. Hell yeah. And I see that around that time you had another project called the Committee of 13. What's that about?
That was another project where I was kind of I was doing, you know, mixing more hard rock, melodic vocals. So we put out one CD. It's like out of print now, but you can find it on YouTube, and it's similar to what I was doing in El Nino. But I was doing a lot more of the solos and technical riffs. You know, it was definitely more metal, which was something I always wanted to do on those early El Nino records. But it just at the time, I don't think people were ready for the shred solos, and I wish I did it on those records, you know. But it was something it was one of the reasons why I had split back in the day was because I wanted to do more busy guitar stuff. You know, I wanted solos and technical riffs and just evolve as a musician.
Right, man. I get it. I get it. Sometimes, you know, maybe, you know, you got to go on your own to make that happen. I get it.
Which is funny because now the new El Nino record, I'm doing tons of solos and there's all these riffs now. So it's pretty cool how it's come full circle, you know?
Yeah, man. It's like, hell yeah. Hey, whatever Mark wants to do, let him do it. It works. Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah. Well, what about this other project I saw that you, I think it's an EP called Cortez?
So Cortez was a project that we started, Roger and I. Roger was Vasquez was the original percussionist from El Nino, and he's actually an incredible singer. And wow. So we started this fun project around that time. Also, before I joined Soulfly, it was just a demo, but it's a lot of people like in underground. They love it. They think it's some of the best, you know, like hard rock stuff, you know, that's come out of me, man. But it's similar to like Committee of 13. You know, it's just kind of hard rock, but metal riffs, but the vocals are more rock. Oh, yeah, check it out. I think it's on YouTube also, you know.
Man, I'm going to look that up, man, because I brought it up on Spotify, but nothing came up on that one. So
yeah, from years ago. I got to probably remix it, and you know, I got so many things I got to work on like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get it, man. You got your hands. There's so much of your material that you collaborate with so many different artists, man. Yep. I'm really just blown away how much you've already got out there, and how busy you've kept yourself. And, you know, another band that you were in there in the mix around that Soulfly within those years was a Cavalera Conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
So how was that jamming with Igor?
So that was awesome. You know, obviously I was a big Sepultura fan back in the day. You know, Andreas Kisser was always one of my favorite guitar players ever. Let me get a little more light, sorry. And, you know, so when I got asked to be part of the Cavalera Conspiracy, you know, it was like, all right, man, if we're going to do this, like, I really want to bring it back. You know, listen, that was always my goal, even when I joined Soulfly, was to get Max back to the thrash metal sound, because that's what I always loved. I never was really a big fan of nu metal. So when we started, I was always pushing that thrash sound. I was always playing Beneath Remains riffs for him, showing him like, yo, I can play this stuff. I know these solos note for note. You know, I studied Andreas's playing because I was a huge fan of his, still am. So I definitely feel like I brought that vibe into the band. That's why the Soulfly records always got more thrashy, more death metal. That's why the Cavalera Conspiracy was always more thrashy and death metal, because I was always pushing those riffs. And also, I would like to say Cavalera Conspiracy, the first record, that Joe Duplantier, he did a lot of writing on that record. A lot of writing. You know, he really didn't get the credit he deserved on that first record, and I think that's why he didn't stick around to do the tour with us. But he brought a Gojira vibe to that first Cavalera Conspiracy record, and it shows. It's a classic, amazing record, man.
Yes, It fucking kicks ass, man. One of my favorites in your collection that you've been able to put together.
Yeah.
And, okay, so you knocked out 8 albums with Soulfly and spent over 15 years with them. What was it? What happened that made you leave the band?
I mean, listen, I talked about it a lot, I'm trying to move forward now, but basically it just, when COVID hit, there was just a complete lack of regard for the band, that we're not part of the family and the crew guys. And I just said, you know what, man, if the right thing isn't going to be done during this time, then I don't want nothing to do with it when it's time to hit the road. I gave 18 years of writing, working hard, giving all my time away, my whole life, to dedicate to this. And when COVID hit, like the door was just shut on trying to help anybody out financially and to try to generate money. So I said, you know what, man, I'm done. I want nothing to do with this anymore. So I moved on, and it's been nothing but awesome things since I moved on.
That's great. Hell yeah. And you know what? We each gotta, sometimes we hit that spot with our band where, a decision like that's gotta be made, and it ain't fucking easy because you've got so much invested. But
when you put so much into something, and then when something crazy like COVID hits and you're just not remembered for what you did for all that time, it was just, you got to make a decision. It's like, I'm out. That's it. And the fans know what's up. I'm not saying anything that the fans, I mean, people write me all day long, like, yo, I get it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. And I got nothing but awesome stuff going on here. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm playing guitar better than I ever did, so I'm excited for the future to do even bigger and better things.
Absolutely. You're doing them, man. And so there was also a little stint in the Misfits. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are my buddies, man. I'm good friends with Jerry Only. He lives up by me where I live in Jersey, and just such an awesome dude, man. And we've always ran into each other around New Jersey at the airports, and we finally kind of linked up in like 2015 through a mutual friend. And Soulfly had taken off like almost like half a year, and Jerry was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm nothing. I'm waiting to get back out on the road." He's like, "Well, why don't you come down and jam with us, man?" And so we recorded 2 songs, and then I flew out and did the Comic-Con in Holland, I think it was, or the Netherlands, and it was awesome. And I was actually at that time in 2015, I came very, very close to joining the Misfits and leaving Soulfly in 2015 because I wasn't happy in Soulfly even at that point in time, with just everything. So I came very close to joining the Misfits, and the only reason why I did not join the Misfits full time in 2015 was because I knew they were going to do the reunion. So I knew, like, if I joined, a year later, 2 years later, I knew Glenn Danzig and Doyle was going to come back. And obviously I would have been out of a job, but it was incredible. And I'm still good friends with Jerry. We go out to dinner a lot. I just was with him a week ago going to get some dinner, and he's just a great dude. And I'm a huge Misfits fan. I mean, I grew up in Misfits country around here in Jersey. This is where they're from. So for me, it's, they're one of my favorite bands of all time.
Man, that's awesome. And it doesn't surprise me that they want you to be a part of the mix, man. Jerry's a fucking another badass that's in great shape too, man.
True legend, man. I mean, he's he's been doing this since the 70s, man. And the guy gets there and still gives 100%, plays his instrument and rocks out and then hangs out with all the fans. I mean, I always admire that. And that was something I learned from Jerry when I toured with him, was when the show was over, he would sit down on the stage and hang out with all the fans and sign stuff and just be so sincere with everybody. And that always stuck with me. And I like to do the same thing like Jerry does, which is just be real with the fans and just hang out with everybody on the real.
Absolutely, man. And the fans always appreciate that. When we go see our stars, man, we love that. We love that when they can just share a minute or two of their time, take a picture, answer a couple of questions.
Yeah.
It means the world to us. It really means the world to us. Yep. And people always remember how you make them feel. They may not remember a lot of shit, but if you make people feel good, like Jerry makes his fans feel good, and like you've made your fans feel good, man, they're fans for life. They're fans for life. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you got your own instructional video, your own DVD, man. That's badass. Fucking I think it's called Dread Levels 1 and 2. Fucking awesome.
I did that. A company, Rockhouse, that came out in 2006 or 7, I think, and it was cool. It was a fun experience. We put out the DVD. It was in all the Guitar Centers. It basically covered a lot of like stuff that I play on my solo records. So if anyone wanted to learn what I do on that first solo record, it's basically all on that DVD. But YouTube changed everything, man. I mean, once YouTube hit around a couple years after '06, that whole DVD has been uploaded so many times to YouTube. So I think it's out of print now as far as it being a DVD. But yeah, I used to sell it at my shows. Yeah.
Man, that's badass. That's really awesome. Just capitalizing on all your skills, man. That's really awesome. I like the entrepreneurship that you're showing right there.
Thank you.
And so, how did Revenge Beast get started?
So yeah, basically, when COVID hit, it was crazy, man. Because like the last show I did was with Soulfly, March of 2020, I think it was, at the Heaven and Hell Festival in Mexico City. And then the minute I got home from that, everything just completely shut down. And there was no plan whatsoever. I've talked about this in the past, but just the right thing was not done from Soulfly towards me about what the plan was going to be for the year for everyone to make money, a living, to do so. It was a hard time, obviously, and right. So me and the guys in Revenge Beast, they had another band called Purgatory Earth that I had produced their record. There were some friends of mine, Doug Brennan and Jay from Baltimore, from this band Purgatory Earth. And I was like, yo, man, I'm home. I'm not doing anything. I'm just like writing music and stuff. So we started sending stuff back and forth. And we started writing music, man. So then we just started uploading what we were writing, sending tracks back and forth. And we wrote a whole record during the pandemic. I mean, that's what bands are supposed to be doing. And I was not doing that. There was no like, hey man, let's make a record. That didn't come till like 1 year later, like a year after COVID. Then it was like, it was time they wanted to make a record. But it's like I was home the whole year looking to work, So so Revenge Beast, we got cracking, man. We started working and recording songs, and we wrote a whole record basically like within like the first like 3 months of being home from COVID. And it's coming out on Upstate Records. We just dropped a single, Egregore. We did a cool cover version of Molly Crew's Bastard, like a death metal version of it, and that video's dropping I think next week. And then the whole record should be out, I'm hoping, in the next like 2 months, 3 months. And it's heavy. Some of the heaviest stuff I've ever done. It's just straight up like brutal death metal, early 90s style death metal. And I'm excited for it, man. It's a lot of riffs that I think people would know me for from my time in Soulfly and Cavalera Conspiracy. All that style of the technical but groovy riffing that people may know me for, that is now in Revenge Beast. So everybody's got to go check out Revenge Beast, subscribe to all our channels, and be ready to pick up the record, because it's brutal shit.
Hell yeah, Egregore, man, it's fucking heavy. What's your singer's name, man? He's got a fucking brutal voice.
He's got a super heavy death metal voice, and what I really like about Jay's vocals and his lyrics is that he puts a lot of effort into his lyrics, man. Like, I'm really not into lyrics, but Jay really writes like some really, really cool, thoughtful lyrics that are just about all different types of stuff, like mysticism and historical things, and just really cool lyrical content. So I think, real metalheads are going to love Revenge Beast, man. We wrote a record that I know metalheads are going to just absolutely love. So
hell yeah, they're going to eat it alive, man. It's fucking badass. So let me talk a little bit about Bleed the Fifth. Yeah. So Vex hit you up, and the music fucking great, dude. And Vex sounds amazing. I love his clean.
I mean, listen, Tommy is one of the most talented singers out there. He can sing, he can scream. He's a total beast on stage. I mean, he's just a super intense, awesome, talented dude. I've known him since the early years in El Nino, going back to like 99, 2000. We always kept in touch. We've always been friends. We've always tried to do things together. But this was the time. He hit me up maybe not even too long ago. This all went down, like maybe 2 months ago. He was asking me what I was up to, and he was talking to Tim Young, who's an incredible drummer, obviously, about putting together a project that would play the old Divine Heresy songs, but also write new stuff. Tommy hit me up, man, and I was like, dude, sign me up, because I love that Divine Heresy record. I think that's got some of Dino's best rhythm guitar playing and riffs. And I'm a huge fan. I was asked, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I was asked to do a lot of the leads on that record. It never got. I think one song maybe credited me for some acoustic stuff, but I did more than that. So it made sense for Tommy to hit me up because Tommy had asked me to come in to do solos on that record. And whatever the confusion was, it's in the past of, why my name wasn't on that record more, but I definitely did a lot of leads on it. And was always a huge fan of it, So the minute Tommy asked me part of it, I was like, hell yeah, dude. So our first debut show, we're doing the Whiskey A Go-Go coming up on April 8th out in LA. And I'm super stoked to play all that stuff. And we're working on originals. We got some new originals that are very much, in the sound of those first two Divine Heresy records, man, except that we're doing even more intricate guitar stuff. Because Bill Hudson, who's a amazing shredder, he's part of the project too. So, with Bill Hudson and myself in a band together, I mean, come on, man. It's going to be no-brainer for people.
Right. It's going to be fucking sick. You guys are a definite super group right there, dude.
Yeah.
Adam and Morgan. Holy shit, man. Amazing. I can't wait to hear more from it, dude. It's going to be badass. And I saw that for the show coming up at the Whiskey.
We're going to turn a lot of heads, and I know we are.
I bet, bro.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Well, shit. Have you toured with Nita Strauss? I thought I saw a video of you maybe jamming with Josh on drums.
Yeah. Josh is my good friend, man. I've known Josh forever, and Nita's amazing, incredible guitar player, awesome person. So with my solo project, a lot of times I go out and I just play with a backing track. It just makes it affordable to travel and go do gigs. I've been doing it for years. So Josh had asked me to open up on the Nita Strauss tour last year. And I did about 1 month with them all over the U.S. And it was one of the best tours I ever done in my life, man. They treated me so good, Josh and Nita and everybody else in the band. And I stayed on the bus with them. And I opened up all over the States, opening up for Nita Strauss. And it just was an amazing time. Definitely, hands down, one of the best tours I ever did. And it was great to play in front of a big audience that Nita draws, and play my instrumental stuff, because it's stuff that I'm really passionate about, is my instrumental guitar records.
What a great opportunity to spotlight your what you want to put out there, your instrumental work right there, and to the masses like that, to the crowds that Nita's been able to bring in lately, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really, I'm super grateful to them for that, because it was right after COVID, and it was one of the first tours I did, after COVID, and it just was just really a nice treat to be able to go out and open up for them, man. And just, they treated me so well. So
that is awesome. That is super fucking badass. So do you have a follow-up already coming up for The Living Shred Volume 1?
Yeah, so that the Living Shred came out last year, and it's just it was basically just a compilation of all my stuff, more the heavier stuff, not so much the acoustic. But I am working on my next solo record. I'm just taking some time with it to really get it sounding the best I can. But I will be putting out a new solo record really soon here.
Badass. So I see that the tour for El Nino is not going to start till like May 3rd. And so we got a little time here. What are you doing to keep yourself busy between now and then?
Well, I'm working on the El Nino Confessions record. I've never played that record live, so I got to go back and relearn it all. But I'm also working on the Divine Heresy stuff. I didn't know those songs, how to play them really, other than the solos. So I'm taking all this time off right now to learn the entire Divine Heresy record. And then I'm almost there. I got like one more song to learn, and then I'm putting all my focus on the Confessions record. So I'm practicing a lot right now. I'm just sitting home, just woodshedding and just beating songs into my head,
Yeah, man. All right. Badass. Awesome. Well, I'm going to move into a segment that I like to do with my interviews. It's called Draw the Line. And I'm going to ask you some questions about, really not questions, but I'm going to give you a couple of topics, and you're going to tell me who your favorite is out of the two. Could be singers, could be guitarists, maybe bands. All right. Let's get started with the first two. Who do you go with if you got Joe Stump versus Jeff Loomis?
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. But
yeah,
what, man, I love Loomis. He's incredible.
Yes.
But I'm more of an old school shredder, and I love how Joe Stump, not only does he do his shred thing, but he also plays like in a Deep Purple cover band, and I love seeing him play in that. I've seen him online, and I love the way he kind of takes the Ritchie Blackmore stuff and keeps that bluesy feel, but does kind of the Inve thing on top.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one, bro. I don't know, man. But I would say, because I like the older sound of things, Plus he plays like more strat tones, which I love. I don't know. They're both great, man. But maybe I lean towards Stump. I know him more. I don't know Loomis. I never met him.
Okay, all
But
right.
they're both incredible. That's a tough one.
I try to make them tough because both these guys they're amazing.
Yeah.
And so let's see about these next two. How about between John 5 versus Buckethead?
I'll go with John 5. I never met Buckethead. And I like John 5. The thing with me with shredders is I need songwriting too. And I really like John 5's songwriting. I think the solo stuff, he put out that one record on Shrapnel back a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed that record a lot. So I'm going to say John 5.
Killer, man. John, he's right now, he's on the road with Motley Crue. He's having a good old time filling in for Mick Mars.
Yep.
Trip, man. That's badass. I'm glad that he's got that big gig going on. That's awesome. Well, these next two guys are like, they're, a couple of the kings, but not only the shredders, but they're also on the mic. Who do you prefer out of Dave Mustaine and James Hetfield?
Guitar playing wise, I prefer Dave Mustaine. I think he's very underrated as a guitar player. But vocals, I prefer James Hetfield's old vocals from back in the day.
Yeah.
But you know what, man? I'm probably let's go with Dave Mustaine just because I really Megadeth is one of my favorite bands of all time, and I don't think Megadeth ever put out a bad record. Whereas I don't like some the later Metallica records. But so I'm gonna say Dave Mustaine. Let's go with him.
I dig it. Metallica's taken some chances and done some different things, but Megadeth really hasn't taken those kind of chances. They've done a little bit of everything and always kept it interesting.
Yeah, and Dave Mustaine, to be able to sing and play those riffs like stuff from Rust at the same time and do solos, like dude, he's insanely talented. I think he's very underrated, man. He's one of the top shredders, and then he sings on top of it. I mean, that's insane.
I'm telling you, good choice right there. I definitely agree with that one right there too. Now we're gonna go to some vocalists. How about these two greats for fucking Sabbath? Who do you prefer out of Ozzy and Dio?
Obviously, that's a tough one. Listen, I love Ozzy. Who doesn't love Ozzy? We all love Ozzy. But Dio is one of my favorite singers of all time. I mean, I love Dio. So I'm gonna go with Dio.
Hey, all right. That's a hard one too, man, because each one of them has that different era of Sabbath that made that era that's so much popular. And it kind of pertains to when I ask this question, sometimes it brings them back to their childhood. Did they start listening to Sabbath when Dio was around? Or were I was born in '70, so I started listening to Sabbath. I got wind of it when Ozzy was still around.
Yeah.
So my preference is the Ozzy Sabbath, but I prefer the vocals of Dio. I just think he's just such a fucking best.
I love Dio. Dio's my favorite singer of all time, man. But I love Ozzy too. I mean, it's tough, man. The one thing I will say when a band breaks up is that, and when they split and two different bands break up, now you get even more music. You know what I'm saying? So they're both incredible, but I just prefer Dio in my opinion.
Way to look on the bright side. You're looking at the cup half full. I like that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, how about these two monsters? Tom Araya versus Chuck Billy.
Oh man.
Yeah, those are beasts right there. Holy shit.
Listen, I love Chuck Billy. Slayer's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yes.
That's a tough one. And Chuck's such an awesome dude too, but I lean towards Tom just because I'm a huge Slayer fan and I'm a huge Testament fan. It's a tough one. These are hard, man. These are hard,
I dig it, man. Tom, oh man, I'm sure you could recite as many lyrics as I can, off of Rain and Blood and Hell Awaits, stuff that we grew up with.
But I love them both. I mean, it's tough, man. But again, Tom Araya plays bass and sings, and I kind of look at it also like, that's hard to sing and play. It's not easy to sing and play.
For real. And I really we had the pleasure of having Chuck Billy down here when he started doing his management team. And he had Shattered Sun come under his wing.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I had the pleasure of meeting Chuck over here, and he's such good people. And
dude, man. Awesome dude and super talented. I mean, I love his vocals too, so it's tough.
Oh, very tough. Okay, well, I got one more for you, and let's see what you do, or see which way you go out of these two guitar legends.
Okay.
Dimebag Darrell versus Eddie Van Halen.
Man, wow. I mean, I love them both equally, and without Eddie, you most likely, wouldn't have Dime. And I know Dime would have said that too. Man, that's tough. I don't know if I can answer that. I love them both equally. They both, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
very, that's tough, man. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have to go Eddie just because he was before Dime, you know, and he influenced.
Yeah.
But I love them both equally. I mean, and Dime is. I probably listen to Dime more than I listen to Eddie, though. That's the thing. So that's a tough one, you know. I mean, I just Dime is one of my favorites of all time, and Eddie too. So that's tough. I'm drawn on that one.
Yeah. All
But you got to
right.
give Eddie, you got to give Eddie the proper respect due because he came before Dime and was a big
Yeah.
influence on Dime. So that's what I'm trying to say.
I get it. Definitely, man. Well, that wraps up our segment of Draw the Line. But because we're talking about Dime real quick, how you feeling about the Pantera reunion? Are you digging having Zach in there and having Charlie in there as the fill-ins?
Absolutely, good question. You know, I if Zach wasn't part of it, I would probably not be too keen on the idea of them doing this reunion thing. I
Yeah.
think because Zach is part of it, and because Zach and Dime were boys and they were so tight and had such a similar style and came up around the same time. I think only Zach is the only guy in metal who can do it respectfully and do it with the respect due towards Vinny and Dime. And also as a guitar player, because I love Zach just as much as I love Dime. I mean, they're both huge influences on me. I'm fanatical Zach Wild fan and Dime fan. I was very much interested on them doing this reunion with Zach just because I wanted to hear Zach's his take on Dime solos and have him add the Zach Wild licks and sound to it. And I haven't seen it live yet in person, but I've watched it online and I love everything Zach is doing. I think it's freaking such a great tribute to Dime. I think he's doing it nothing but tastefully and respectfully. And as a guitar player of both guys, I love his interpretation of those Pantera songs in the way that he's playing them, his style. Should they have called it Pantera? I don't know. Maybe they might have. It might have been cooler if they did like a tribute to Pantera type of thing. I know a lot of people are drawn on that. Um, we'll see what they're gonna call it in the future. I heard people are saying, are they gonna make a new record? I hope they do. I don't think they should call that Pantera though. If they make a new record and write new songs, I think they should call it something different. But I do want to hear it just because, dude, Zach is incredible, man. And he's such a respectful dude. Obviously, he's sincere about playing those Dime songs. So yeah, it's exciting, man.
Very well said, Mark. I agree with you 1,000% on all those points. I don't, for years we've always heard about if there was a reunion, Zach should be the guy.
He's the only.
We've seen the videos, the parties all the time. Those guys are birds of a feather.
Yep.
And
He's the only guy that could do it. Nobody else. They should have never done the reunion if it was anyone else. Dime is the only guy who can wave that flag, man, and he's doing a brilliant job. So I hope they make a record because I would love to hear Zach's style of guitar playing and writing with Phil and Rex and Charlie. And Charlie's incredible too. He's an incredible drummer. So
yeah, Charlie's one of my favorites. I've been following Anthrax since when I first heard Fistful of Metal come out, and he's so very good buds with Vinny as well. So everything's put. I think they did it right. And, sure, we had to wait as long as we did, but it's worth the wait. I love the way the fucking fans are turning out, fucking droves, and I can't wait to the show. But I agree with you 1,000%. Where if they write some new material, which I like to hear, just come up a different name.
Yeah, a different name. I don't think they should call it. Maybe call it, I don't know, Far Beyond Driven or something. Something similar. That linked to Pantera, but yeah, they should call it something different. And I hope they do because it's exciting to hear Zach's tasteful, interpretation of those songs.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, Mark, thanks a lot. That wraps up our interview for today. I appreciate you spending some time with me here on Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Man, I can't wait to see you guys over here in May. I believe it's May 31st over here in Corpus, here at the House of Rock.
Nice.
And God bless that everything works out. So you have a successful tour and you make it over here and we get to enjoy El Nino doing the entire Confession CD. Man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
You too. I'm stoked.
Before we blaze, I want to make sure everybody can keep in touch with you on my show. So how can everybody catch you? You got your own YouTube channel, and where can they find you at Instagram and so forth?
I'm on all the social media. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I put up a lot of my videos. And I'm active on all that stuff. You know, I mean, I hang out and talk to everybody. I do my live feeds from time to time, so I'm online.
Awesome, man. And when's your next show?
I'm playing. I got some just local things coming up
Yeah.
that are more like jazzy flamenco things. I do that for fun.
All right.
So that's all on my websites, those things. But my next like metal gig for the metalheads will be March 17th. I'm playing a place in Kentucky, and that'll be a metal show, solo stuff. So everybody can find all that info on my social media.
Awesome, Mark. Awesome, man. I really appreciate you, brother. Thanks a lot for spending some time with me today. I'm a huge fan. Keep up the grind.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Mark. So you want to say bye to everybody out there?
Yeah, big thank you to everyone, man. Especially down in Texas, man. It's one of my favorite states, man. So big thank you, guys, and I'll see you in May.
And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot for watching the Tony Gomez Show today, and I'll see you at the show.
Peace.